Hello everyone, I am Vibrant Expressions and welcome back to my channel, Vibrant Soul Crafts. Right here, I am preparing for a tutorial, and in this tutorial, I will be making a beautiful adjustable bracelet. And this is just one of the ways that I will craft this bracelet. So, these are the beads that I'm using for my beautiful bracelet. I have here some silver plated hematite beads, as well as some solidite rondelles. And I'll be using crafting wire. This is aluminum, believe 16 or 14 gauge wire. I'm using black cord, black string. This is on a thicker end. Oh, also I am using, let me not leave this out, flexible needle. Okay, now for the tools, I will be using wire cutter, round nose plier, and some form of flat plier. Okay. So what I'm going to do is alternate my beads. I'm probably going to start with the silver plated hematite beads first. So I'll be back. Okay, so before I started beading, I threaded the needle with the cords being doubled, and I left it doubled throughout the entire strand. Okay, so this is what I have so far, and I did measure my wrist, and for me, I am going to use 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 19 beads. So now what I'm going to do is grab my scissors, cut the cord, remove the needle. So now I have two separate strings. So I have one end of this bracelet completed. So I figure I would do that off camera to save time, and also while the glue dries. So I'll go ahead and explain or show you how this end looks. And the glue is somewhat dry. It does need more time to dry. However, this is how one completed end of the bracelet looks. So this is what we're going to do together to complete the bracelet. So I'll go back to this end, and I'm repeating the same exact steps. So to complete this end of the bracelet, well, actually it's not going to be completed per se, because we do have one more step after I duplicate this end of the bracelet. We will have one more step to make it an adjustable bracelet. So let me show you again. I used a bead cap. I used round leather cord, pink, 4.5 inches. I used crimp beads right here, there, and there. Okay. Okay. I used a approximately 12 millimeter sterling silver bead with a large hole, guys. And this hole is going to cover up a knot that we will be making. And also 16 gauge, about 14 to 16 gauge aluminum wire. Okay, so I'm just actually gonna clear something up with the cord. The cord, I'm going to measure this doubled, in a doubled state. So my cord is doubled, which measures 4.5 inches. Okay, so I am going to cut this cord with either scissors or wire cutter. Now, I am now going to kind of bend the cord right here. So it's not going to be, I'm not going to bend the cord in this exactly in the center. I'm going to bend the cord like this. Okay. Now at this time, let me flip over this bracelet. I'm going to put this pink cord where I bent it at in the center of or between the two black cords. I'm now going to take the two black cords and make a couple of knots. Now, I'm going to leave a little slack in between the cord because this is what I want. Actually, before I do that, before I make the knot, the complete knot, I want to bring the bracelet together because if I don't do this step, then a bracelet will be very stiff as if it was made on wire instead of cord. Okay, let me move this out the way. Okay, so I'm going to bring the two ends together and make my knot this way. And again, I'm not pulling very tight because I want a flexible fold around my wrist. I don't want it to be stiff, like as if it's like a bangle bracelet. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to make one more knot, which will be 3 knots. Now the knot itself will be tight. Okay, not changing the slack of string in between the beads. Okay, so I'm now going to stretch back out my bracelet. So now at this point, I am going to cut this black cord with my scissors. I'm going to cut the slack off just under the knot. Okay, being sure not to cut the knot itself. So now at this point, at this fold of the pink cord, I'm now going to create a knot. A tight knot. And I'm going to grab one of my tools, one of my flat pliers, and just pull a little bit. I don't want to put too much pressure on the cord, but the knot will be tied tightly. Okay. So now at this time, I'm going to grab my 12mm bead, my large hole bead, and bring both pink cords through. And I'm going to stuff the knot through. And if I need to push it through a bit with one of my tools, that's what I'll do. Because we want the knot inside the bead. Okay, I'm trying to do this carefully. I don't want any accidents. There we go. Perfect. So now, at the beginning of this bead right here and this hematite bead where the knot is, I'm going to now apply some B7000 glue. I'm going to locate the knots of the black cord as well as the pink cord. And I am also going to glue a bit of the hematite bead so that there can be a bond between the hematite and the 12mm bead. Just a little, not a lot. Okay. And then I'll just twist it a bit, and then there we have it. Okay, so now at this point, I would like for the glue to dry like I did with the other side. And this is why I did the other side first, because we do, for this project, you do need some glue drying time. But for the sake of this tutorial, I am going to attempt to complete this bracelet as is. Let me close my glue back so no air gets into it. Okay, so now I'm going to take my cutters and cut the short end of the pink cord, leaving the longer cord. Okay. So now I am going to form a knot with the pink cord. Okay, not bad, not bad. All right, I'm going to grab one of my tools to assist me to tighten the cord. Now, at this point, I'm going to tighten this cord. Okay, and it don't have to be like super tight. Okay, that's good enough. So now what I'm going to do is apply one of the crimp beads. So I'm going to use one of my tools. And this crimp bead is maybe 2 millimeters. I mean, they are smaller than what I prefer. I have larger gold ones, but silver one, I'll probably prefer like a 4 millimeter or so, or 3 millimeter. But anyhow, I'm going to position my crimp bead around, got a bit of glue on my fingers, around the cord. Okay, once it is fully around the cord, I am going to secure the cord by closing the crimp bead together. Okay, now I am not in my usual workspace, so I'm not sure how the lighting is. I hope that it's picking up fine. Okay. Okay, so this is what we have. Okay, so now I'm going to move to the end of the bead. So what I'll do first is, let's see, measure, because we want the same cord slack on both sides. So actually I don't need to measure it. I can measure it like this. Okay, that seems about right. Pull this a little, nope, that a little bit more. Okay, so I'm going to make the cords even. Now, I'm going to grab another crimp bead. Where's my tool? And I'm going to position the crimp bead at the very end of the cord. These little tiny things are something to work with. They're very slippery. Okay, so I'm now going to close the crimp bead because I have it located inside the crimp bead. So the cord is inside the crimp bead. So now I'm closing the crimp bead. And this is what we have. Close it tight. So now I'm going to grab my glue again and glue the end or the tip of the cord. And now I'm going to grab the bead cap and insert the cord into the bead cap. But that wasn't enough glue, so I'm going to put a bit more, even on the bead cap. I mean, on the crimp bead, I'll put some glue there as well. Put a lot of glue on there. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Okay. And then I'm just going to twist the bead cap around the crimp bead so that it can stay put. So I'm going to let this dry a bit because I don't want to go on to the final step without this part of the glue drying, because I don't want the bead cap falling off. So I'm going to let it dry peacefully and I will be back. So I'm ready to move on to the last step of this adjustable bracelet tutorial. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cross both cords like this. Okay, just simply just cross them. And they're not crossed like in the middle. So they're laying parallel in the middle. Now I'm going to grab my 14 to 16 gauge aluminum wire. And let me measure this. This is 11 inches. I'm not going to use this whole 11 inches. So, but again, whatever I don't use, always go to future projects. Because I'm always making like eye needles or eye pins and so forth and so on. So what I'm going to do is anchor. I'm going to go halfway into the wire, halfway down a wire, and anchor this wire tightly around both cords and carefully. Okay, so every time I wrap, so now since I anchored it, well, since this wire is anchored around both cords and I'm working this way, I'm going to make sure that every time I wrap around, it's wrapping around both cords. So I'm going to continue wrapping around to make sure that both that all of the coils are even or flat at the same level as much as possible. Even if I need to go in with my tool, okay, to give it a little pinch to keep them straight. So now at this point, so I wrapped it around 3 times. I'm going to pause on the wrapping and, excuse me, and pull the end of both cords to see if it is tight enough for it to be adjustable. Because I don't want the coils to wrap around the cords too much, because I don't want to damage the cords. But I do want the coils to be tight enough to where the adjustable cord will keep its position, its desired position. So this is good right here. This is, yeah, this is good. This is exactly how I want it. Okay, so now I'm going to continue to coil around maybe 2 more times. And once I'm done coiling, I'm going to test again the resistance of the cords. Okay. Let me just go in a bit just to, okay, make sure it's flat. Pull. Okay, good. If for any reason it's too tight, the coil, if the coil is too tight, like right now, I'm gonna loosen it just a bit. And this is how I will loosen it. Just grab the coils, the end of each end of the coil, and reverse a bit while holding on to the coil. Just unscrew it a bit, right? So, and then retest. And this is how I want it. Okay, so now I have each tail end of the wire facing opposite sides. Now, anyone who follows my channel and watch my videos know what I am about to do next. Okay, so I have each wire facing opposite ends like this, one pointing up, one pointing down. So I'm going to measure 2.5 inches on each tail end of the wire, on both excess parts of the wire. Excess wire. Okay, so this is at 2.5. Wow. Talking about synchronicity. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to measure 2.5 on the opposite end. So right there is good. Going to grab my wire cutter and trim. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is grab my round nose plier and go on the outside of the wire and bring the loop back. And I'm going to create a spiral. So now I'm going to grab my wire tamer or wire straightener to create the spiral. Keep on spiraling. Okay, and now at this point, I'm going to just, okay, the spiral is facing downward. I'm just going to, should I go this way? Yeah, bend it, just flip it up, just like that. And then I'll just push down. And this is what we have on one side. So I could make the spiral less, you know, maybe 2 inches long or 2.25, but this is fine. This is fine. Okay. So I'm going to reposition this wire right here by grabbing my flat plier and bringing the coils together once again. And as I'm holding, as I'm holding the coils in place with my tool, I'm going to reposition the spiral against the coil again, just to make sure that it's in place. And now I'm just going to do the same thing to the opposite side. Go on the outside of the wire. Make sure it's on the opposite end. Go in with the round nose plier, bend backwards, or for depending on your perception. And then I'm going to do my spirals. And I'm going to do it in the same way. Just push down. Just make sure that it's positioned properly. Okay. And if you need to readjust the direction of the spiral, is very simple. And I use aluminum wire purposely so that it can be easy on a cord and also easy to manipulate. And then I'll just go back in and make sure all the coils are together. And this is what we have. Sometimes I can be such a perfectionist. So, like right now, I feel like I'm being a bit picky with this coil. But I'm gonna let it go. This is good. All right, so this is what we have. It looks like a chariot. Okay, so this is our adjustable bracelet, guys. Okay. Let me put it on. And there we have, voila. All right. Now, you know, I'm gonna find a way to make like a storage part on this bracelet where I can wrap the wire around so that there's not a lot of slack. Or I can just make the cords shorter, which I will do next time on the next video. So this is what we have, guys. This is what we have. A beautiful, beautiful adjustable gemstone, blue sodalite, royal, sacred, intuitional, boisterous gemstone, sodalite, balance gemstone, and this beautiful grounding hematite. There we go. So thank you for joining me, guys, crafting this beautiful bracelet. I truly, truly enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. So have a beautiful, wonderful weekend. Till next time, guys. Bye. I got no worries, no. I got no worries, no. I'm shining like a diamond, yeah. Got different view, 여유롭게 teasing, yeah. 내 자유로운 soul, leave me be, please, 문제가 돈이 나면 I'll be filthy rich.